Stroll past the shiny exteriors of Rochester Mall and the Star Vista before turning the corner into Rochester Park, the humble home to 40 quaint, two-story black and white bungalows. Some of the 40 bungalows now sit vacant. But more than 70 years ago, this was the lively home of a British soldier and his family. Built in the 1950s to house British soldiers, these bungalows have stood the test of time. When the British left Singapore in 1971, the government took over these houses and rented them out for private staying. Some became halfway houses and many closed down soon after.
Over at Rochester, they are now conservation buildings. So most of the conservation architecture is preserved. Black and white houses, the name come about is because of the white finishing to the wall, as well as the use of the dark wood. And usually the characteristic of black and white houses, we always have three colors: the black and white, as well as the red terracotta tile on the roof. Most of the black and white houses, they also have this little fan light. Fan light is above where the windows or the door. The idea is to bring in a lot of natural ventilation into the house to make the place more windy. I think the introducing of the fan light is definitely something that is more adopted in the tropical countries. So we have always the outdoor veranda, the fan light at the top, generating cross ventilation into the place. The asbestos is one of the usual or common material used back in those days, which is now not a good choice of material because it's hazardous to the health. I think that the position or where the black and white houses are is also a military strategy, right, on where they locate. So they are usually more on the higher hillside. So if you notice, they are always far apart. Of course, for privacy for different officers staying, but it's always surrounded by landscape, and it's almost as if the landscape is really the center stage of the whole house or the residence.
Many of the bungalows are now used as restaurants, offering patrons a taste of the past as they dine in the present.
Beer Fest, thus we brew the beer ourselves. So maybe you saw our brewery site. So we choose this place because it's convenient and a large area for accommodate our brewery and production of the beers. We have our regular customers. We have many nationality, like foreigners, local. They say it's very cozy and quiet place, and atmosphere is very good. I think it's outside and it's very quiet. The greens in the evening is more fun. But we have a music on, a bit louder.
BFS is one of the many new tenants that has breathed life into these old buildings. New meets old in the Starbucks here at Rochester Park, also housed in one of the restored bungalows.
If I were to go out of campus to study, it would be here because it's near and it's nice. It's very different from other Starbucks because this Starbucks outlet itself is like one whole building of its own. It's a colonial building and it does have like a very different vibes to it. There's a mixture of black, white and brown, more neutral, kind of calming, not too extravagant. Being in such close proximity to nature around you, there's a certain calmness to it as well.
To fit a conservation layout into the modern world, especially bungalow-wise, it's quite a challenge because now the people requires bigger space. Recreating that space of what you used before and marry it with the current function, I think that is something that we hope to achieve and we hope that the next generation or the generation after can actually see. I mean, we learn a lot of history of how Singapore progressed, but we have actually very little, or at least the younger generation have very little understanding of how the history of architecture is I mean, unfortunately, this was because Singapore was colonized and a lot of military was staying here. But I think that adds on to that flavor. It's a part of history that we should celebrate as well.
As Rochester Park undergoes another round of renovations, these houses are prepping for yet another new phase in their lives. Who knows what stories are just waiting to be told?